Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. Today, I, Sean, will be updating you on the saga that is Ana Kasparian, because recently I was woken up to a bunch of text messages, a bunch of direct messages, a bunch of messages on everything that I could be on about how Ana Kasparian was going after Lance of the Serfs, and it could not be more well-deserved. Now, I will point out that Lance is probably the worst of the leftist mafia, one of the worst bad faith actors, and he, just like the rest of them, has fully embraced Olay and ignored the fact that Olay tweeted out this out of context video, which features clips of Ana Kasparian reading the N-word in quotes and accuse Ana Kasparian of gladly calling black people that. Lance, being the absolute coward, being the absolute scumbag that he is, never called this out, lives directly between Olay's two cheeks, and I'm not talking about her face, and has just pretended this whole time that he's been so nice and so sweet and so charitable to Ana Kasparian. So seeing her strike back against him in particular has made me feel very, very good. But before we get into that, this video is sponsored, so let me frisbee toss it to the sponsor. Frisbee toss. Then we'll bring it back over here and we'll talk about it on the other side. The surging national debt is bullish for the gold market. The recent debt ceiling drama ended with nominal cuts to the federal budget, along with an unlimited credit card for the feds to spend all of your money, spend away your future for years to come. This is why a Bank of America senior analyst said that the current boom that we're seeing is going to be followed by a dramatic drop in stock prices. Are you prepared? Is your retirement prepared for the impending doom? One of the things that you can do to prepare for this is actually move some of your money into precious metals, and with National Gold Group you can be connected with a world-class customer service to walk you through the process. If you mention my channel's name, you will have the fees waived when you decide to invest with National Gold Group, and you can call them at 866-826-2603 in order to be walked through your options. They have best-in-class customer service, great representatives that are American-based. So once again, call them up at 866-826-2603. And remember, there's always a risk for investing, and past performance is not necessarily a guarantee of future results. So this all started with the Serfs out of nowhere tweeting that it's gotta be liberating not to have to pretend anymore. And of course, it's a screenshot of Ana Kasparian and a segment she did on the Young Turk, which talks about some of the issues of Portugal's decriminalization of drugs program. Now, funny story about this video. It's actually my favorite Young Turks segment that they've done in years, and I'm talking about favorite in terms of its level of quality, not favorite in terms of whether or not I want to respond to it. And Ana Kasparian actually does an excellent job and even corrects some things that I have been saying positively about Portugal's decriminalization program, because I didn't realize until watching this that there's actually two different programs that went on in Portugal. There's the program that they instituted up until the year 2012, which is the one that I've been positively referencing in comparison to what we're doing with decriminalization in a few major cities in the United States of America. Then there's the post-2012 program, which is actually more similar to what we're doing here in the United States. In fact, United States cities often cite the new model, not realizing that it's changed from the old model that had much more promising results, as their model for what they're instituting here in America. And Ana lays this out quite clearly.
For one, the program started with the government carrying out services following decriminalization, but later outsourced the work to nonprofits. So Portugal decentralized its drug oversight operation in 2012. A funding drop from 82.7 million to 17.4 million forced Portugal's main institution to outsource work previously done by the state to nonprofit groups, including the street teams that engage with people who use drugs. The cut in funding quite clearly had a terrible impact and weakened Portugal's successful program.
However, Lance, being the absolute buffoon, doofus, ridiculous person that he actually is, didn't even bother to really watch the segment, because what Ana is advocating for is not the drug war. She's advocating for going back to the previous system, which Portugal spent more money on and didn't outsource a lot of the stuff to nonprofits and kept more in-house in terms of the government. So what Ana Kasparian is actually criticizing is a reduction in funding and outsourcing to nonprofits, and these would all be progressive criticisms. And if you watch this segment, again, I highly recommend it in the most unironic way humanly possible. You will see that she's coming at this from a progressive perspective. And one of the things that she's worried about is the fact that if we keep copying the bad model in Portugal, that's going to lead people to double down on the drug war.
Now look, identifying the flaws, the current flaws in Portugal's decriminalization model is critical if we want to avoid circling back to destructive war on drug policies.
But Lance, aka Spineless Lance, of course did not look into that. He immediately assumed bad intent on Ana's behalf because Ana dared stand up to his queen, to his master, Ole, so Lance is looking for any kind of mud to fling in the face of Ana, even though he's completely wrong. And if you're opposite Ana's position, you're actually more right-wing on drugs, trying to maintain this program that is obviously destined for failure. Now, Ana responds with the following. Listen, I get that a dishonest and untalented clown like Lance needs to distract from his embarrassing debate with Tim Pool, so he's going to post a screenshot of a story I covered and mischaracterize what I said, but here's the full video. Ana, I just want to say, from me to you, from the Actual Justice Warrior YouTube channel to Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks, yes, you are correct. You're speaking my language. You are preaching to the choir. Honestly, I've never seen somebody analyze Lance in any more clear way besides myself, and I'm totally on board for this. This is essentially Ana Kasparian going through the experience that I went through when I got glasses. Like, she was seeing in standard definition, boom, HD vision, clear as day, calling out Lance to his face, and of course, the doofus Lance has no response. In fact, the only response that Lance can go with is going full I'm a victim mode, which we will get to in a second, but Ana follows this up with yet another tweet. The whole point of the video was how Portugal's decriminalization policies were a success until the government cut the funding for rehab outsourced work to nonprofits. Either you have issues with basic comprehension, true, Lance is quite dumb, Ana, or you're a liar who's mischaracterizing things. It's both for Lance. True. Factual. Listen, I've struggled with this myself. I struggled with how to analyze Lance from the Serfs on this channel in multiple different videos because he's really dumb, but he's also a liar, so it's hard to tell whether or not he's dumbly stumbling into his position or he's deliberately lying, but it's actually both. He's actually the rare thing where people don't know anything, but they're also constantly lying that we don't see all too often on the internet. Usually, people are wrapped up in ideology. Usually, people believe something so hard that they want it to be true, but Lance is an absolute snake and a buffoon, so he can't even lie with any cleverness. You could find takes of Ana Kasparian taking more right-wing positions on criminal justice, if that's how you want to label it. I would label it correct positions on criminal justice, but this is not a more right-wing position. This is actually embracing the original intent and purpose of the decriminalization program, and I know some people are going to label this left-wing, but I've said this on this channel multiple different times. I prefer Portugal's old model to the US cities model, which means that I too agree with Ana Kasparian that the old model of the government actually spending what is necessary in order to deal with these addicts is better than their new model. So I might be more left-wing specifically on this issue than the Serfs, which just goes to show you how this man will take any position for convenience and ultimately end up attacking anybody just based on his absolute devoted loyalty, which by the way isn't even really legitimate loyalty because we all know Lance backstabbed somebody at the drop of a hat, currently to Ole. Now, Lance's response is also pitiful. It completely obfuscates that he was dead wrong on the issue and pivots into other weird territory. What does me making a post about you have to do with me debating Tim Pool 2 months ago? I don't understand how they're connected. Are you taking credit for coaching him or something? So this is why Lance is so funny to laugh at. He doesn't address the issue, which is him lying about Ana Kasparian, pretending that Ana has moved dramatically to the right as she put out a really good yet left-wing segment on Portugal's drug issue, and immediately moves to another ridiculous accusation of Ana potentially coaching Tim Pool in his debate against her. Think about how asinine that is. First and foremost, nobody needs any coaching to debate Lance from the Serfs. Remember, Lance brought up the abortion topic. Lance allowed the conversation to be moved to elective 9-month abortions, and after Lance, for no reason, decided to take the position that a woman should be able to kill her perfectly healthy baby a minute before it was born, Lance then walked into this meth trap.
Authority over what happens to her body.
But there's a child inside her body, and not her.
What about meth?
Like, should she be allowed to do meth?
Yeah.
I think if someone is doing meth while they're pregnant, that it is completely acceptable for something like, I don't know what the name of the service is in the United States.
Child services?
I guess DCFS would be...
Well, it's her body, though.
Yeah, it's her body.
If she wants to do meth, what's the big deal?
The big deal is that she's intentionally trying to kill a child.
Hold on there a minute.
Yeah, I see where we're going.
Lance, you sounded like you've never talked to anybody who disagreed with you or even challenged as an act of practice your abortion position at any point throughout your entire life. You brought this up and had no counters for the topic that you were asking about. There's an old thing that you learn from lawyers where they say never ask a question unless you already know the answer. Lance, you've never even thought about the answer to the question. You're just rambling and speaking, and don't think I noticed your technique of trying to repeat the question as you're buffering in your brain, because it makes you look even dumber when you're on air. The idea that Tim would need anybody on planet Earth to coach him to go up against you, who basically destroyed yourself on that show, is insane. The idea that Tim and Ana Kasparian are somehow colluding behind the scenes in order to target you 2 months ago, also insane, also ridiculous. Now, Ana responds to Lance with, "I felt like cooking tonight. Lance, you hungry?" And Lance basically abandons the thread. Look, this is all good stuff, and I'm definitely on board with it. In fact, I'm so into it, I gotta dredge up the clip of Cenk calling out the Serfs, because that was really funny.
Here, I'll name a name. Lance from the Serfs. He's on here all the time on the power panel, right? And he comes out and does this video about how he's so correct and, oh yeah, the Young Turks, correct? No, Lance, you're not goddamn correct. Nobody elected you. The polling shows no one agrees with you. Your 12 buddies online, I don't care, okay? And say, oh yeah, I'm 100%, he's 99.95% correct. Oh, I'm gonna correct him. No. So don't, look, you wanna say, hey, I don't agree with you, God bless. You wanna say, Cenk, you shouldn't say anything back because you're being rude? Come on, brother or sister, I don't know what your agenda is.
But I also have to point out that Lance of the Serfs isn't the only scumbag liar in relation to this segment. Vosh is in the Serfs' replies, stating something that is just not true if you watch it for yourself. This segment was so insane because it didn't backfire, in quotes. It was just defunded by conservatives and stopped working as well. And she even briefly acknowledges, all caps, that it was defunded, but it's just like it's a casual side detail and continues to pretend as though it backfired. Vosh, no, that would be incorrect, wrong, not even close. The whole point of the segment is the fact that Portugal had a promising model up until in and around 2012. Again, watch the full segment for yourself. Then they changed how it was funded. They cut the funding for it. They outsourced to nonprofits. They stopped pushing people towards rehab. And that change is what backfired. That is exactly Ana Kasparian's issue. And the conclusion of this is that if you want them to not reinstitute the drug war, if you want to continually treat these people as if they're sick, then you have to go back to Portugal's original model rather than what these left-wing cities are currently doing, which is, of course, copying the current model, which is not working in the nation of Portugal.
Look, people are dying, and we need to find a way to reverse this trend. We desperately need to find a way to save lives without going back to overly punitive policies. Let's just pause for a second. I want to reiterate that. I do not want to go back to war on drugs, like overly punitive policies. They did not work. They were not good. I do think that we can save this model, but we need to make some tweaks. I think Portugal's model is promising. It shows that it worked. They made some changes beginning in 2012, and those changes were not positive ones. They did not have a positive impact, but that's okay. Clearly they're reversing course, and I'm excited to see how the numbers change now that they're going back to a centralized government model that, you know, takes care of the services associated with their drug policies instead of kind of outsourcing them to these nonprofits.
Vosh's claim that Ana briefly mentioned this is just not true. It's the entire heart of the segment. And again, as somebody who is more right-wing on criminal justice issues than anybody that's involved, I also agree with the premise of this. If you're going to run a decriminalization program, then obviously what you need to do is get people into treatment. This is the most sensible position for Ana to take, but of course, since Lance had to put his foot in his mouth, a bunch of these other people are falling on the sword for him, because right now, Ana Kasparian is public enemy number one, and don't think I don't realize that Ana publicly saying that she refused to talk to Vosh is one of the reasons why Vosh is strawmanning her video segment in this very tweet.
So for anyone who might think that, well, you know, maybe the problem in Portugal is the same problem we have here in the United States. Root causes, everyone, root causes. It's because of poverty. Not quite.
If you want to know exactly why I'm on board with Team Ana in terms of all these back and forths, it's because of clips like this. You see, the other side doesn't like the fact that Ana is going beyond the basic superficial talking points, which of course are root causes. This is a line of thinking that I make fun of all the time on this channel, and Ana cuts through the nonsense in this segment to tell you what's actually going on a policy level. That takes a little bit more than your average person who says, I just left the left because somebody did this or that or whatever. It shows you that she's actually opening herself up to new information, contradictory information to what she previously believed, and she's working out what she believes based on the facts. It's very interesting that Ana is reading from sources that talk about the fallacy that people often fall into, obsessing about root causes. Look, credit where credit is due. These people are raging at Ana. They spend almost all of their time thinking about what Miss Kasparian is doing on her show, and she's actually improving her research. She's working hard and more diligently on the segments, and this one in particular, I was looking for a reason to recommend to you guys out there in my audience. Couldn't really do a response video where I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Yes, I agree with that. So now we're in that moment. Seriously, check it out. You will learn something. I actually learned something about criminal justice from the Young Turks. That's how you know it's good. And that's really all I have for you guys today. If you liked the video, show them by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on my social media. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Ana Kasparian going after the serfs. Till next time.